It's an absolute delight to be here with Doug Malouf, CSP, the founding Vice President of the New South Wales National Speakers Association back in 1986.
That was way back.
It was way back.
Yeah.
You actually called the first unofficial meeting. How did it all start?
Well, unofficially what happened was Cabot Roberts was supposed to be visiting in Australia to do one of those typical American talk fests.
Great, yes.
His promoters didn't tell him that we were having a meeting. So 16 of us turned up at the Wentworth Hotel in Elizabeth Street.
Expecting him to be there.
And he wasn't there. So the first unofficial meeting was there, and a lot of those people weren't speakers at that time.
Okay.
But it took off, there was a need for it. So we formed a steering committee that would get going, and then the rest is history, as you know.
Cabot was obviously the founding father in America. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, I don't know much about the man himself. I've never met him, only read what his works were. The interesting thing about the Americans was they didn't want to know us in the early days, back in 88, 86, because there were only 3 members, Australian members of their association then. Alan Peace, Dr. Joe Bracey and myself.
Right.
So we used to go over there, and then we felt there was a need here for some sort of network, and that's how it happened.
How did you get started in the speaking business?
I became fascinated by people that could speak. And years ago, a fellow told me I had the body the size of an elephant, the brain the size of a pea, and I should do things other people don't do, and public speaking was the #1 fear in the Western world in those days, so I became an unofficial student of public speaking.
Well, the rest is history.
Well, the rest is history, but my first speech was, there's the notes of it, the first speech was how to overcome the fear of public speaking.
And give us a top tip from that.
Well, practice. As you know, my theory, like you just got to practice until you get good.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on producing product? And you've got lots.
Probably too much.
So, have you always had product right from the start?
No, Alan Peace is the legend with products, and he convinced me to get books out there. So I decided to do a book on everything that I spoke on. So I've got 8 books out there. We've just released a new version of the Real Estate Sales Survival, which is one of our main products. This little production is our very first book. You can see it's not very big. I only did 800 copies of that. 400 got sold. Nobody knows where the others are. But I became a published author, and so then I went to Simon & Schuster and said, I'm a published author. Do you want to do my book? So they took it over from there. But we did self-publishing now. We publish everything ourselves.
So is that what you would recommend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a celebrity presence in the marketplace, because the problem is distribution.
What was the highlight of your fantastic career? You must have so many, but what would be one?
Well, the biggest speech and the most dynamic speech I've delivered was to 3,500 people for the American Society of Training and Development, and it was in the Moscone Centre at San Francisco. That was a dynamic experience, 3,500 people.
You did 15 in a row.
Yes, I'm one of 6 people that have been a keynote speaker for that association for 15 years.
What do you wish you'd known then that you now know?
I wish we had national speakers when I started instead of wasting 5 years.
Right.
See, there was no networking. The major strength of the association is the networking. You can fast track yourself with anybody, and they're great people. They share, they care, and they give a lot. And Winston Marks has taught me a lot. Alan Peace has taught me a lot. You never meet those people if you don't have a network where you can go and meet them.
Fee to free with yourself and Winston, that was a way to get new members?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That was Winston's idea. That caused the major membership in the early days. Winston designed that program, he involved me in it.
Yes.
And we used to take it into Australia, and they'd get 60 or 80 members, and those people would sign up, 50 of those people would sign up straight after it. So that was a prospecting tool. That's all Winston's doing.
What's one must for professional speakers to be even more successful?
I think the problem with speakers today is they start off, and it's so good to get applause from the front. You've got to see it as a business and run it as a business and be prepared to invest about 5 years of your life to get known. How do you become an instant success? You spend 5 years doing it. So the elevator to success is out of order. You've got to use the stairs. A lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah, so it's put in the work.
Yeah.
A top tip.
One of the top tips for you in this business is you must see it as a business. If you don't see it as a business, you're not going to survive. It's very easy to get an audience to applaud you, but this is a tough business. And to get good, you've got to practice, you've got to get your marketing right, and your selling skills. One of the things I say at Free to Fee is the speakers that don't sell don't eat. So you've got to get your selling skills right and see it as a business and be prepared to stay in it for the long haul. We spend a lot of money on PR, if you see the sort of stuff we do.
Yes.
We didn't do that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We just went out there and spoke. You've got to have good point of sale material. Your website's got to look brilliant.
Yes.
You've got to be easy to use. Can people find you?
Yes.
I read a speak the other day and couldn't find them. So if you bring somebody else.
Yeah.
You've got to be easy to find, easy to use, and you've got to deliver quality at the point of contact.
You're a mentor to many of us and coached many. Where do you see the future of the association going?
Anybody belonging to the association should understand it's not a bureau, it's a network, and you've got to put into the network to get back from it. So you should give it all and be in a part of everything that goes. I think the future of the business is you've got to really get good before you go out there and speak today. I spent 5 years in the suburbs. I became the suburbs kid before I hit Sydney. Robin Henderson is a living legend of how she's better known in the suburbs. Now she's hitting Sydney. So you've got to spend the time getting known and building your reputation.
One last thought.
One last thought. It's an exciting business.
Yeah.
You've got to decide, do you want to spend 80 nights at strange hotels? Because that's what it'll take. And don't burn out. Rest and learn. Be involved in every workshop. Improve your skills and you'll improve your income.
Doug, it's been absolutely fantastic to be with you here today and to chat about the association and everything. The founding Vice President of the National Speakers Association of New South Wales.